This vaccine is hope. It's hope that we will cease this pandemic. It's hope that we will live a better life.
Right now on the news at 5 o'clock, the second coronavirus vaccine starts slowly rolling out across the country as case numbers continue to spike. We're about 2/3 of the way through the month, but already December has had more new cases than any other month of this pandemic.
It's already seen 107,000 people test positive for coronavirus, and that is just this month, and there are still 11 more days to go in December. More than 7,000 of those people tested positive just in the past 24 hours, and in that same time, one more death was reported. Our weekly average positivity rate from last week stands at 18%.
And with cases rising, other states have put some new restrictions on businesses. But that's not the case in Arizona. In fact, the state's top health official changed the guidelines which are used to determine whether businesses should stay open during the pandemic. The changes essentially guarantee that places like bars and restaurants will stay open no matter how bad our numbers get. Our political editor, Dennis Welch, has more.
Dr. Chris, as well as the governor, has said that they are not willing to shut down businesses like bars, restaurants, or gyms at this point because they don't believe that is where the spread is coming from. And they did send us some data recently to back up that claim. However, much of that data includes studies from out of state in places like New York and Mississippi.
I can't say that there's not a number, but there are other strategies that may come in before we would recommend closing.
On Friday, Dr. Kara Chris acknowledging that businesses will likely stay open for the duration of this pandemic, while also revealing that she tossed out the business benchmarks she adopted earlier this year. A review of those benchmarks by Arizona's Family last week showed that Arizona would shut down many businesses by the end of the year if those guidelines were still being followed.
If I close down a restaurant, these are individuals who now are going to go find a job somewhere else because they have to work.
As Chris warned about the side effects of shutting down certain businesses, the case numbers continue to climb, and the state is running out of available intensive care units at hospitals and morgue space to store the bodies.
We also have to take a look at the whole health of the community, and that, housing and food access and health insurance and access to a job all play a role in the overall health and long-term outcomes of our community.
Now, there are still some measures in place that limit capacity at bars and restaurants, and Dr. Chris reiterated that there will be stronger enforcement of those moving forward. In Phoenix, Dennis Welch, Arizona's Family.
Well, now for the good news. Pretty soon, Americans will have another option for the COVID vaccine. People can now get the Moderna vaccine along with Pfizer's. 119,000 doses have already been allocated to Arizona. Maricopa County is going to get about 18,500 of those. The FDA approved Moderna's vaccine for emergency use on Friday, and here's a look at the first delivery trucks carrying that vaccine. A shipment could arrive here in Arizona as soon as today.
We look forward to the vaccine. It's going to be slightly easier to distribute because it doesn't require as low temperature as Pfizer.
5.9 million doses of the Moderna vaccine were sent out today, and a lot of states didn't waste any time. They are already administering those shots.
Dignity Health began distributing the first dose of the COVID vaccine to frontline workers this morning at Chandler Gilbert Community College. Dignity Health is one of 5 pods around the valley administering the vaccine right now. The goal there today was to vaccinate 800 people with their first doses, and they expect thousands more healthcare workers to come through the line this holiday week. We talked to a local nurse who got his first dose today.
The vaccine was fine. Look forward to it. It's just another tool in our toolbox. I mean, we wear a mask. You guys are wearing masks. We all practice social distancing, wash our hands, good hygiene. Vaccine is just another good tool that I need, and we have. It's good for the community, good for my family, so good for the patients and my coworkers.
The chief medical officer at Dignity Health says today was one of the highlights of his 40-year career, calling this an historic day. Well, a lot of kids may have been worried about this, about the virus impacting Santa and his deliveries this week. Heather, after all, his age puts him well into the high-risk category.
That it does, maybe his weight as well. Kids asked questions on Sesame Street, and Dr. Anthony Fauci answered them on CNN. Take a listen.
Will Santa still be able to visit me in coronavirus season? What if he can't go to anyone's house or near his reindeer?
I took a trip up there to the North Pole. I went there and I vaccinated Santa Claus myself. I measured his level of immunity and he is good to go. He can come down the chimney. He can leave the presents. He can leave and you have nothing to worry about.
Fauci previously weighed in on this and said Santa also has a lot of natural immunity to the virus.
All right, good to hear. We cleared that up. December 21st, the first official day of winter.
Yeah.
And Royal, I thought I misheard you when you were talking about today's high.
Yes.
Well into the 70s.
76 degrees has been our high today. So for the first day of winter, almost set a record, that's for sure. Now, before we get going with the weather part, I want to show you a view from the Lowell Observatory up in Flagstaff. They're streaming this if you want to take a look. And they're streaming the super conjunction, the grand conjunction. On the bottom there is Jupiter, and on the top, of course, is Saturn with the rings. You can look online and check this out, Lowell Observatory's website. And they can see it now pre-sunset because they're using different sorts of filters. We can't see it till after sunset by the naked eye. So don't go out there and look at the sun. Wait till after sunset, which is about 5:25. And then there's about a 15 to 20 minute window where you're going to see the planets together before they set. So there they are, Jupiter and Saturn, very close together. All right, let's come back to our weather. 72 degrees at Chandler, 74 at Scottsdale, it's 73 at Peoria, and 72 at Tempe. Very quiet day around the state with clear skies out there, and we're going to see that pattern continue through tomorrow, though after tomorrow we'll get a little bit cooler. 66 at Vegas right now, 46 at Santa Fe. Tucson is reporting 76 degrees. So tonight, for the folks wanting to see the grand conjunction, no problems at all. Clear skies. Tomorrow morning, a few high clouds and 46. How warm will it be tomorrow? That part of the forecast is next.
All right, sounds good, Royal. Thanks so much. You just mentioned it, that once-in-a-lifetime event in the sky, Jupiter-Saturn aligning as we speak. We're going to have the history on that rare astrological event after the break.
What do Arizona Cardinal fans want for Christmas? The playoffs. Can they get there? We'll discuss when we come back on Arizona's Family.